it'll be okay. He goes, there's a creek there I want to fish. I was like, have you ever fished? He goes, no. I said, okay. I said, well, what is it? He goes, it's called Soda Butte. He goes, it's good. I said, are you sure it's good? He goes, well, it's going to be better than this.
Now let me say, do I need to bleep this out or?
I said, okay. So no, you don't have to bleep it out.
All right.
So we drove there, and we went to Yellowstone. Something I learned: you have to buy a fishing permit in Yellowstone. It's like $40. So not only do you have your out-of-state license, you also additionally have to buy an entry to the park plus a fishing permit. So I elected to buy an annual national parks pass for $80.
That's smart.
That gets you into all of them.
Yeah,
Michael suggested it. He said, look, you're going to spend $40 a day.
Right. 2 days.
Why don't you just get this pass and you can go anywhere for the year? So I did that. I also bought 1-year license in all the states I fished versus, 5 days.
You are optimistic.
I probably spent close to $500 on licenses, paper licenses.
Yep.
Yeah. So I did my part supporting those states.
That's good. That's good.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
Totally
it
good
is.
thing.
I think everybody should do that,
I think we all should participate in supporting our local state parks, our national parks, our fisheries, because that does go to a good thing. And even in the state of Texas, it's a good thing.
It is.
So I encourage people to do that. So so here's something funny. We camped in Soda Butte Campground inside the park
in July. Make sure you say in July.
Yeah, in July, and it was very tame. It was overcast and kind of rainy. Ironically, I found out when I was there. Michael tells me, he says, there was a guy from Michigan that was eaten by a bear and mauled to death here. I was like,
that's why nobody's there.
And he says, yeah, I put you in the same campsite he was in. He goes, no, I'm just kidding. But we did find out that did happen. I think it happened in 2018. You can actually look this up online.
I think I remember that story too.
And so I don't know what happened or what transpired, but the park host, campground park host there said, hey, there's a mama bear with some cubs. There's also a little cinnamon bear that's running around in here. Just be mindful. I said, okay. And we immediately were thinking, oh, we're going to see some bears. Cool.
Yeah.
We never saw them.
Yeah.
We never saw them.
They saw you, but you didn't see them.
Well, they saw us and knew we were there, and we stayed there for 3 days. By the way, it was so good.
That's
we ended
awesome,
up camping
man.
there for 3 days. That was one of the highlights and best fishing experiences I had on the trip. To be honest,
that's where I'd want to go so far. You're taking me to one place.
Soda Butte was fantastic, and I will definitely go back there and fish it again. The fish quality was phenomenal. We caught some real meat tanks, and they were nice.
That's awesome.
I took a picture or two of them, put them on my Facebook page, but yeah, it was good. It was really good. And then so there was another creek in the park that we were going to go to. We didn't end up going to it because by the time we got to the trailhead, talk about cars. Oh my God.
Yeah.
There must have been 100 cars there.
Yeah.
And so we just what we decided at that point in time, we're like, okay, plan B. Let's figure out what we're going to do. We drove through the park. I will say though, that particular spot, I'm trying to think of the name of it, that what that creek was called. I'd never fished it before.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up and see if I can find it here. Bear with me for a second. I'll look on this map. It's supposed to be really good. Let's see, it was called, so Soda Butte runs into the Laramie River, and it's called Slew Creek. That's what for some reason I had my mind slipped the name. So Slew Creek, we were going to go to Slew Creek to fish, but there were so many people there. And it can fish good. I personally never fished it, but I've heard good things about it.
Right.
And at that point, we just went through the whole park. We said, okay, let's go down towards Teton. Let's go let's replenish provisions in Jackson, which we did. Jackson was really a busy place. I hadn't been in Jackson in a while, but it is hustle and bustle. It's a nice town, but it was the busiest of all the places I've been on the trip.
Yeah.
And so we went to the grocery store. We had to make provisional stops every so often to get supplies. And so when we were there, we made a decision. And Michael asked me, he said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "We can go back to the Gros Ventre." And he goes, "Let's go to the Hoback." I said, "Okay, sounds good. The Hoback's right outside of town." Well, we get there, it's blown out, total chocolate milk. It's like, well, okay, can't do that. Let's go to Granite Creek, blown out. Granite Creek goes into Hoback. I said, "Okay, what do we do now?" And he's like, "We can go to Gray's, or we can go to a spot you want to go to." And I was like, "Gray's is going to be hard to get to. We can do it though." And we decided and agreed to go to Pinedale, back to Wind River. I said, "Let's go fish the upper green, the very top upper green where it originates, comes out of the upper Wind River range." And that's what we did. We fished that for a couple of days, and it's hard fishing. It's like fishing in an aquarium.
Yeah.
It's very clear. It's very deep. It's very technical, hard fishing. You can see nice, sizable fish in there. I'm talking about trophies.
Right.
But you have to be really technical. It's not easy. I caught a couple of fish that were quite nice in the 20+ inch range.
Jeez.
Over the course of 2 days. But that was some hard work, fishing.
Yeah.
You got to really work for it. I mean, there's a lot of refusals. And so by that point of the trip and the duration, we split. I told Michael, "Hey man, I think I'm gonna go try something else out. I'm gonna go down to the Boulder River outside of Wind River, and fish that." His wife, Kat, had a horseback riding booking. She's into riding horses. And so I said, "Oh, you need to do that. That's important."
Yeah.
And I said, maybe we can meet up down in Colorado, because I knew I was going to go back to Colorado and go down there, back to Gunnison, and fish that on the way home. And so at that point, we separated. I went to the Boulder River. The Boulder River wasn't happening. And then from there, I just kind of said, well, I guess I'm going to go back to Colorado. So I made a giant loop, and I went back to Colorado. But as I was driving, I said, "You know what? I'm going to call these guys at Cowboy Drifters that I know, and I'm going to see if how the North Platte's fishing." Because I was really
where is this Cowboy Drifters based at?
Cowboy Drifters is based outside of Alcova, between Alcova and Casper, Wyoming, and I knew them from a previous trip. And as I was driving, it was just completely spare of the moment.
Yeah.
I called them up and I said, "Hey, do you guys have any openings for a drift on Gray Reef?" They said, "Yeah, we do." I said, "Could you get me in tomorrow?" I said, "I know it's like very last minute, spare of the moment. It's random." They said, "Let me check." They said, "Let me call you back." They called me back, said, "Yeah, we can get you in." I said, "Do you got a cabin?" They're like, "Yeah, we got a cabin." I was like, "Okay, I'm going to be there in 4 hours. I'll fish tomorrow." So I ended up just last minute random, said, "You know what? I'm going to go do a guided trip."
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
And, something I'll say to people is this: don't gawk at the cost of guided trips, man. Support your local guides, support these people. These people are experts. It's what they do. And you're always going to have a great experience. You're going to have an educational learning experience. And it's a good thing. And, you look at the cost of a trip like what I did, and then you look at the price of what it costs to do a guide. It's just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a total no-brainer.
Yeah.
Support your local, guides, and you're going to have a good time. So I fished with a guy named Luke. Had not fished with him before. He was my guide, and the Gray Reef, which is below, downstream from the Miracle Mile. The Miracle Mile is totally overrated.
Yeah.
It's combat fishing like the San Juan or anything else. And the reason I picked that is it made sense logistically where I was. I thought about fishing the lower green below Flaming Gorge, that's a dynamite fishery. It's one of the best in the U.S. They've got 10 to 12,000 fish per mile. It's crazy. But I didn't do it. I didn't want to, primarily because I didn't want to buy another freaking license.
Yeah.
In Utah.
Right.
So the Miracle below the Miracle Miles Gray Reef. And this time of year, it's pretty much the end of the season and at the end of July, because by this point, it's end of July.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this show. Look, you can really help me out in 4 ways, and 3 of them don't cost you anything. 1, subscribe. Number 2, hype if you have that capability. And number 3, watch as much of these videos as you can possibly stand. I'm an independent operator, content creator, fly fishing content creator. Number 4, go to my website, texasflycaster.com. I got a full-blown store there, flies, fly rods, all kinds of things you can look at and buy. That's the only thing that'll cost you anything. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Back to the show.
And but it fished well. I mean, I caught a dozen fish. They were all nice fish. They were all, anywhere from 12 to 14. I think I landed one that was about 18. Nice fish. But the guide, and we tried a whole smorgasbord of different things. We did some streamers. I caught a few on streamers. We tried everything, and we had a good time because he's like, I like fishing one-on-one because we can do things that normally we can't with a group of people.
Yeah, and you got to manage a parade.
We worked hard. Yeah. We worked hard, but we had really good results, and we were able to experience a lot of different types of fishing in that setting. And it produced, we did good. And so actually kudos to Luke, great guide. If you ever go up there, go hit up the Cowboy Drifters. I'm going to go back for 3 days and fish with him, with my friend Brett, and on, November the 9th, 10th, and 11th.
So what will the weather be like in November?
It'll be cold, but what I did learn is the fishing is great. So the best time to fish Gray Reef or Miracle Mile on the North Platte is going to really be October, November.
So the pressure's off, basically.
It's off, but it fishes year round. It will be cold. It's going to be 20s in the morning. It could be snowing. It could be raining, sleeting, but it's going to fish because that water temperature. It's a tailwater.
Yeah.
I will say this. Never trash the idea of fishing a tailwater because they're the most productive, consistent anywhere. Tailwaters produce and historically prove you're always going to get good fish.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just the way it's the science of tailwaters. I mean, all that water's driving nutrients downstream.
O2, oxygen. Yeah.
Oxygen. I mean, whether you're fishing the white up in Arkansas, the San Juan, the Miracle Mile, it doesn't matter. Just pick your tailwater and go have fun.
Right.
If you fish tailwaters, you're going to get results and you will figure it out.
Right.
I have to say, looking back on my life, I do like tailwaters, man. I think tailwaters, spend more time in tailwater.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
You want to fish and catch fish, go to a tailwater. You're going to catch fish. And so, what I know, and I'm not an expert on the North Platte. I've only fished it twice, and so I really know nothing about the river. And all water takes time to learn.
Sure, and you got limited time. That's the frustrating part of this whole game. Is it?
Yeah, you're not going to figure it out in 1 day or 2 days, and it may take you a decade of going there every year, and you still won't have it figured out.
That's right.
I mean, even your home water changes.
Hey, it's changing, and right here, right now.
Right here. Yeah, it's changing. And so, this goes back to the expertise of supporting your guides.
That's right.
Support your guides. They have done the due diligence. They've invested tremendous amount of time and resources to try to give you a great fishing experience to help you be better in your angling game. And so I just can't praise guides enough. I just say support your guides. It's very simple. It's a no-brainer.
No, that's a no-brainer. Yeah.
So after that trip, that was basically the end of the trip. I did go back to Colorado. And at that point, when I did go into Colorado, I drove in. There's a lot more driving logistically. I won't bore you with the details, but it was raining every single day. And so
it was raining back down in Colorado then. The monsoons.
That's a good thing. Yeah, the monsoons had finally came in. And so when I left Gray Reef, I drove through encampment, because the encampment river and the North Platte run through there. I was actually going to go to Saratoga Hot Springs, but I elected not to because it was the time of day. It's free. It's put on by the state. It's a really pretty area, but I just wanted to get to my destination, which was far away. It was, I was basically going back to camp in and around Leadville, Buena Vista, and that's a long ass drive from there. And I drove through rain the whole time. I went through Walden. It was a beautiful drive, but it was a beating. And, by the time I got in to where I was going to go, it was like midnight. I was like, golly, I am wiped out. I mean, that's a hell of a trip. And so when I got there, I said, okay, next morning, got up, had breakfast. I went back over Cottonwood Pass, dropped down into the Taylor. I was going to try to go up to Texas Creek and fish it, which is a good creek, but that road is so messed up. I didn't, after you drive all these roads and you're beat up, towards the end of your trip, you
want to go along and get home. Yeah. You just want to go along.
At that point I was ready to get home, but I wanted to go try one more time the Gunnison, because that's, really,
that's
if you were to ask me, Paul, in Colorado, what's your favorite place? The Gunnison.
Yeah.
It's the Gunnison. Just pick a spot, Alma, around there, Gunnison, any of that area. Just put your finger on a map and go there. And if it's not your deal, it's not your deal. But for me, I just have a long history of that place. That's of all the places I fished, I know that water better than anywhere else in the U.S. And, I went back there because of that. And I have good memories there. And I said, okay, I'm going to go hit the gun. I did. I did okay. And then I said, okay, one last raw. And I said, I'm going to go hit the canyon, because I really, really like Lake Fork of the Gunnison Canyon, which is down by a campground called Red Bridge. I got there, it was blown out. I was like, damn it, not again. That's, 2 for 1. I'm like,
story of your life, man.
And at that point, I'm just like, okay. I texted my friends, Michael and Kat, because they were going to go to Gunnison to have something done on their truck on the way back. And I said, don't waste your time.
Called them off. Yeah, that's the thing, man. You saved them. You saved them some gas and everything. Yeah.
I said, I know you're going to come through here, but it's going to be blown out if you're going to be here in a few days. And I just kind of gave them intel as I was going back south.
That's pretty great. And that's pretty great for them.
And so the one thing that happened at the end of my trip, so that same day, I ended up driving all the way back to Alamosa. I stayed at this little motel that I always stay at there. I think it's called the Sands Motel. It's like this 1960s motel.
Oh, love it, love it.
I actually really like it. The same people were there. I actually know some people in Alamosa just from visiting there over the years. I always stay at the same motel. I eat at the same restaurants. I even get my oil changed there. So there's places I've learned over the years where to get your oil changed.
What's the name of the place? What's the name of the place where you get your oil changed?
Let me pull it up. It's called Reed Tire. So there's 2 places that if you're making that kind of trip that like I did. In Red Lodge, I'm going to look it up and make sure I get the name correct. Let's see. Red Lodge is, because I had some work done there. Red Lodge Tire Shop, I'll tell you. It's called Rocky Mountain Tire and Lube in Red Lodge. Great, great people. They will help you out. They've helped me a couple of times over the years. And then in Alamosa, there's Reed Tire. And so, like, what do I do there? I get a lube. I get my tires rotated. I mean, I have my suspension looked at.
You still got a long way to go, baby, to get home.
I drove over 7,000 miles, like 7,122 miles, I believe is what the odometer read when I got back to my driveway. But you have to do a couple of oil changes. You do an oil change before your trip. You do it while you're on your trip. You have to have, your vehicle looked at and lifted up, because things will come loose.
I know. I'm laying on the ground. I was laying on the ground before we started this conversation, man. Something's going on.
So stuff will break, and I've had stuff break on the road. And let me tell you, that's a big, expensive inconvenience. It's going to set you back a few $1,000s and a week on your trip duration. What I learned, if I can impart anything, inspect your vehicle and check it often, check your tire pressure, check all those things, check your oil, baby your vehicle when you're driving across the states, because that's what's got to carry you to and from your destination.
Nothing like being broke down on the road, man. It's the worst.
No, it's not fun.
It is the worst,
so,
man.
At the end of the trip, I stopped back through Cañejos.
So I'm just taking a break in editing to ask you to do one of 4 things for me, and 3 of them are free. Number 1, subscribe. Number 2, hype if you have that ability, hype these videos. Number 3, watch as much as you can possibly stand of these videos, because that helps a lot. The 4th one, go to www.texasflycaster.com. I've got a full-blown fly fishing store there, fly rods, all kinds of stuff, and flies, you name it. Go to texasflycaster.com. Check it out. Back to the show.
Cañejos, fly anglers, went in there, said bye to Pat, and that day I was going to go up to Red Lake, which is really an easy, lake to fish. It's got some beautiful cut bows in there. And as soon as I started the damn trek, my backpack loaded up and everything, man, it started thundering and lightning and stormy. And I mean, when I mean lightning,
I know it's close by. It's right there.
People
it's
in
like
Texas.
No, they don't get that.
Know, we understand storms.
Yeah,
we get them bad.
Yeah, but that lightning at altitude, man. Oof.
Lightning at altitude. I'm sorry. Nobody in Texas knows what that's like. I'm sorry. You just don't know. It's loud and it's right next to you.
It's right on you.
And so that lightning was striking somewhere within a quarter of a mile. I kept seeing, I was like, holy crap, man, I'm up here at 11,000 feet, right at tree line. And I just looked for some trees and some rocks, which, it's not real smart, but it's better to be by something like that than to be standing up in a field.
Right, all by yourself.
Got killed by lightning strikes.
Yeah.
I mean, lightning is the number 1 instant way to die in the mountains.
Yep.
It's the number 1 killer. Don't think, I'm not going to get struck by lightning, because you will.
Yeah, it'll find you. It will find you.
It will find you. And so I hunkered down next to this rock and these trees, these little trees, because I was up at tree line. And I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to get to my lake. And I was almost to the lake. It was just right over the ridge. And it lightninged and thundered and stormed for probably half an hour. And then it started to slow down. I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to go back to my truck, because there was no sign of it, of the rain and the storm subsiding that afternoon.
Right.
I said, well, I guess I'm done. So I got back to the truck. I was driving back towards Cumbres Pass. I was going to go into Chama and go back to New Mexico that way. And I noticed smoke smoldering on the hillside right along the state line. And there was a rancher in a truck that was pulled over, and I looked at him. I said, amigo, do you see that? He goes, yeah. He goes, you have a phone? He goes, well, there's no signal here. And he goes, I got 3,000 cows over there. And I said, well, maybe I can get a signal. Maybe I can drive up, up towards higher on the pass and get a signal. So I went up there. I dialed the fire department, the volunteer fire department. Of course, nobody answers. I try a couple of different things. Nobody answers. So I was like, well, I'll just dial, 911. I did that. They sent some people out, and I ended up hanging out for a few hours talking to these different various people, the sheriff and everything. And we just hung out and talked and got really acquainted with the locals. And we basically prevented a wildfire. Whoa. Which was really cool. I mean, we were watching it smolder. I had binoculars. I was like, yeah, man, this is going to catch this place on fire. I don't want to see that happen, because I like that area. It's a beautiful area.
For sure.
And so
what started the fire, do you think? Is it a lightning strike? Lightning strike.
Yeah, so it was when that storm came through. I mean, it must have hit over there and just caused that. There was one other thing that was funny. I didn't tell you this, and I'll leave it at that. But when I was at the Taylor River, I spent the night there at a campground, and this is a bit of a backtrack, but I wanted to tell you this because it was weird. So when I got to this campground back at the Taylor River at that duration and point of the trip, because these were 2 things that really, there were 3 things that happened on my trip. One, meeting Michael and Kat, which was great. the fire story that I just told you, but this one too. This is something I overlooked. And when I camped at the Taylor River, I was at, I think it was called 5 Mile Campground. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to look on a map. But anyway, I got to my campground. There was all this trash strewn along the side. I was in this little choke canyon area, and I was like irritated. I was thinking, oh man, these people trash this place. Why? I took a trash bag to pick it up. And as I'm picking it up, it's like a line of trash. I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't from somebody.
Bear.
This is from a bear, because I could see that the claw marks and the chewing, you know. And I said, oh, this is from a bear. There's a bear living back in this canyon. And so I picked up the trash. I put it in the trash can. I went to the campground host. I said, hey, I picked up a bunch of trash over here. I think you got a bear. And she goes, oh, yeah, one of the campers left the dumpster unlocked the other night. Mm-hmm. We thought we'd picked it up. I said, well, I got it all picked up. I said, I didn't really think much about it. Well, that same night, I'm sitting at the table and I've got this headlight. You know, I'm not really thinking about bears or anything.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
And I could see the little beady eyes off in the distance, you know, like 60, 70 yards in the trees. And it's watching me. I'm thinking, oh, that's that bear. I was like, this bear has this all figured out. And I was like, I know you're over there, Mr. Bear. And I threw a rock across. I said, you're not coming around my camp. And the bear started making noise, like huffing. And because when they get frustrated or nervous, they'll huff and blow. And I could hear him making noise and chomping his claws. I'm like, oh, you don't scare me, Mr. Bear. And he was hanging out waiting for me to leave. Well, and he hung out there for like over an hour, because I kept watching him. I couldn't really see him, but he would just hang out in the darkness of the trees, because it's a canyon. You really can't see in there. And I told the people next to me, I said, listen, they were from Illinois. I said, do you have any bear spray? And they're like, no. I'm like, look, there's a bear over here. He's hanging out. He's not going to come around while we're awake. I was like, but he's going to come around as soon as it gets quiet. He's got this figured out. I was like, you better pick up all of your stuff that you're grilling tonight and put it somewhere else and not around you, because he's going to find it. I said, once a bear figures out they're opportunistic, they will always become a nuisance, and eventually they'll either have to be euthanized or relocated. They'll cause a problem. That's when problems start. I was like, the bear's not going to attack you, but if you have a confrontation with it, you can get very seriously hurt. And they just looked at me like shocked. Like, what do we do? I'm like, nothing. Just pick up your stuff and go
get
to
it
sleep.
Away from you.
And just don't worry about it. I was like, he'll walk around your truck. You'll never know it. He's looking for one thing: easy food. I was like, he's got this figured out. The fact that he's already here, he knows. And they just looked at me and said, will we call the police? I'm like, no, you don't call the police. They don't care. I was like, don't sleep with any food in your around you, and just clean up your mess. And they have no reason to trash your camp. That's all he's going to look for is food. And so that night, a few hours later, I hear this banging noise, like really loud banging, like thumping, banging noise. And the first thing that dawned on me, I was like, oh, it's probably the trash people dumping the dumpster.
No, he's trying to get in.
No, it was the freaking bear dumped over the two big, 300-400 pound steel dumpsters. Oh my gosh. He knocked them over. The next morning I got up, I was like, holy crap. That bear went back to those same dumpsters, pushed them over, trying to get into them. I called the local Gunnison office at the time and told them, I said, hey, you got a bear that's looking for food, might want to be aware of it. Anyway, that was something that was an interesting experience.
Oh, man.
Of all the places I went, Yellowstone, up in Montana, I didn't see any bears, and right there in Colorado, the bear in the camp.
There's nothing like a Texan telling somebody about bears in Colorado. That's funny.
So, I mean, it was a good trip. I have to say, I learned a lot. I don't know if I'll take that kind of trip again. I mean, I've done this trip many, many times in my life. I think
more than me. I've never done it. So, I mean, I know about these things, and I hear individually from individuals about it, but you pretty much...
I should have done a better job videoing it and tracking it, but I just didn't do that. But I've done this trip a lot of times, and this year I don't know if I'll do that quite again. I've done it a lot of times, and one thing I'll say, It's lonely too when you're on your own.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, you're by
For sure.
yourself.
Yeah.
You don't share that with someone. I mean,
That's, to me,
it's
it's kind of
just,
pointless if you're not sharing it with someone, and that's
and
where I'm at. Yeah.
that's where I'm at in my life
Yeah.
now. It's like, I don't really know if I want to take a trip like that. If I'm going to do a trip, I'm
Well,
going to say this.
yeah.
I'd rather spend the money on a guide
Yeah.
and drop $1,000 or a couple of grand and go do that, get in and get out.
Right.
Or go, you said something to me, and I've never fished the coast, but maybe it's time to step up the game and
come on,
try
baby.
some different
Come
water.
on, get you some salt.
Maybe it's time to get salt.
Come get salt, baby. You'll never go. You'll never go to the mountains again. I swear to God, you'll never go.
It was a good trip, but I've done it so much. I just don't think I'm going to do that again.
My emphasis on this whole thing was I wanted people to know what the West is fishing like, number one, and number two, that you got to go east. You got to go east. Man, that place is...
Actually, you're right. You know what? You got a real good point. There is so much good water up in around Tennessee, Kentucky, even up in Maine. There's the 100-mile wilderness up there. Then you get up into Canada. You got the what do they call that? What's that wilderness area up there north of Maine? Labrador.
Yeah, we're gonna own that too.
Freaking Labrador. or go up into Banff or BC, or what they call Middle Canada, which is way up there past Edmond. I mean, you've got everything you could possibly imagine that you could touch and want to do in multiple lifetimes in North America.
Yep.
Even in the 48, you can't do it all. I mean, just basically pick and reap your own water opportunity.
Right.
I mean, I think there's a brand called Reap Your Water out of Colorado. Actually, it made me think of that. But to your point, the Carolinas. I mean, there's places I've never even
Georgia,
been. Georgia, even northern Alabama.
Yeah, man. It's true.
There's tailwaters in northern Alabama that I've read about that produce monster trout.
Yeah.
Monsters.
We won't even we'll leave Arkansas off of that. And that's like a world destination,
I mean, the U.S., you don't have to go drop 12 to 20 grand to go to Argentina or New Zealand or Mongolia. I mean, you can if you're fortunate enough and you could do that. I mean, go for it. But I mean, you've got so much great water that you can hit. How do you put a price tag on a trip? The barrier of entry, probably realistically, outside of the cost of gear and equipment, you're probably going to drop a couple of grand easily. It's $2,000 or $3,000 in this day and age. I mean, it's just what it is. So you've got places in your backyard you can go, or you can go take a guide for 2 or 3 days. And have a great trip. So as I've gotten older, I still like to adventure. But for the young guys out there, I would say, go explore. Go do what I did. Go do what we did when we were younger. Go to Idaho. Go to these places. Go do it while you're young and not tied down with kids and family and all that stuff. Go be irresponsible and go explore the world. There's not really being irresponsible. It's living.
Right.
That's right. But when you get a bit older and you get in our age group, it's like your time is valuable. And one thing I'll say, man,
limited,
your time
baby.
is your
It's
diamond.
limited. It's limited, man.
And that's the most valuable thing you got is time, because tomorrow's not guaranteed.
That's right. That's right. We know people like that it's happened to. Yeah.
You don't think about that when you're 20 because you're invincible. But
you'll never die.
Yeah, you're never gonna die. It's like
So let me get you to plug your business, because I want to reach out to as many people as I can in your behalf, because both you and I are entrepreneurs and self-employed, and it's a different life and a different lifestyle, and I'd like you to take this chance.
Just go get a job, man. Don't do what we did.
Don't do what we did. Yeah, okay. But if you do it, if somebody needs your business,
follow your heart, follow your passion, and do what you want to do. But what I do is I'm a horticulturist, and so I have a boutique design build company. We specialize on ecologically sound, sustainable garden designs and landscaping. We're turnkey. It's all about climate appropriate, and responsible gardening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the future. I mean, manage your water, quit putting chemical laden lawns. I mean, that's not going to be helping you, your kids, the environment. So it's very simple. We're a boutique niche company, and we specialize on true sustainable, regionally adaptive, climate appropriate native garden designs and landscapes. And that's what we build.
Right. And we're, for you people out there that don't know where we are, we're in Denton, Texas, which is now a suburb of Dallas and north of Fort Worth. So we cover in separate businesses, we cover a pretty wide area, big area.
Square miles.
Yeah. So we cover big areas in what we do. How about a phone number or a website? Anything you want to give out?
Website is texasnativescapes.com, all one word. My phone number, simple, 940-765-2760. Email is my name, paulmrowan@gmail.com.
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate this. This is so informative. I see people talking in snippets on discussion boards about their trip to Colorado was epic and all this and all these other things that they go in, they come out, and that's it. It's maybe 2 days.
I would say one important thing on undertaking a journey, and I need to probably apply more of this instead of doing it while I'm on the road, is support local fly shops and ask questions, and also go to stream flow charts, because every major water has a stream flow. You want to know what the CFS is.
Right.
You want to know what that water discharge is in those streams, because before you load up your truck and drop, $1,000 on fuel and everything else that goes along with it,
check them out.
Maybe check it out. Get an idea of the environment. Do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go all willy-nilly like I do. I mean, I cowboy it. I just go because that's just how I am. But I would also say, you could save yourself some aggravation. I mean, you can't predict the weather, but at least use the resources that are out there, because there's a ton of resources.
Yeah. And I appreciate that one about the fires. Tell me that one again, where you can see.
Oh yeah. So that's something new. I never really ever had to deal with that before.
Mm-hmm.
So every summer there are fires. There's an app. I have no affiliation with them. It's called Watch Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And you just download it, and it just gives you real-time data, where the fires are, what percentage. I mean, it's got everything there. It'll even send you alerts. So if you're going to be out traveling around, I mean, during fire season, that's a really useful app.
Man, that's valuable on every level. I mean, whether you're one of those people that stays in your RV anyway or whatever. Yeah.
You need to know that. You got to know that, because in the mountains, when there's fires, routes get closed down. They get shut down. You cannot go through there. I mean, you just can't. So that's a really useful app. Weather apps are important too, but I would say that's a really good one. And then something else that I started to use is, I'm trying to look for it here. It's an app it's used for people who are hunters, and it's kind of like OnX, but it's not that. And it's good from the standpoint of giving you topography, and it's called Scout to Hunt.
Oh, okay.
Scout to Hunt. I really like this app. Now, this app is set up and geared for hunters, but anyone who's an outdoorsman can use this app. They have a paid version and a free version.
Right,
it's called Scout to Hunt. And the reason I like that, it shows topography. It just gives you a little bit better detail than Google Earth. And something else I'm going to say too, and I didn't even mention this. This is really important. So when you're in the backcountry, absolutely, whatever you do, carry a personal locator beacon. That's real important, because if something happens to you, you're done.
Right.
Do not think for a minute that it can't happen to you, because it can. I carry a Mini InReach 2. It's the older version. There's a new one called Mini InReach 3. They're about $500. They're expensive. There's a plan. You can disable it. That's what I do. But that's your life, man.
Yeah.
And the good thing about a personal locator beacon, and you don't have to spend that kind of money. You
Right.
can find cheaper ones. There's definitely others out there that are half that price. But the thing is it uses the Iridium satellite network, and in the event that something happens and you get messed up, as soon as you push that SOS signal, it's a one-time deal. It it contacts search and rescue. They're going to come and find you.
Yeah,
And
that's good stuff.
that's peace of mind, especially for even people who are, hate to say it, getting older, mature. I mean, if you're out there, you have a heart attack, you break a leg, whatever, you need that peace of mind. I mean, just for the sake of your family, do not overthink and think that you don't need that, because I would say you're a fool if you don't think you need it, because you do.
If you love fly fishing and you love the sport of fly fishing, then you probably enjoyed this very detailed and lengthy interview with Paul Rowan. The goal of this was to share information, make it so that you can go to these places and do these things. Down in the descriptions are the highlights of locations, the names of these locations. You can click on any of those to go to those spots, or you can click on it in the timeline of the video and cut right to more information on these locations, these topics, and these 3 lengthy videos equaling 1 sit-down interview with Paul Rowan. I want this also to serve as a notice, kind of, in a way, that this is why I got into doing YouTube videos, is to interview other people. I didn't want to be on camera. Gosh, if you lived through this, it was a struggle, wasn't it? I was on camera the whole time because I'm not set up to do video and interviews. But anyway, regardless of that, maybe my friends that I know will be inspired to share more information for the love of fly fishing and perpetuating the sport that they love. I hope you do. I'm all ears. Love to hear about your trips this past summer. We're at the end of 2026. These things change. Maybe we'll get another one from Paul next year. All right, guys. Like and subscribe if you like. Hype, if you will, on your phone. That's how you do that. And thanks for watching the Texas Flycaster YouTube channel.